Hey guys, welcome to Get Busy Watching. I'm your host, Honest Dan. Let's talk movies. In commemoration of the upcoming Wonder Woman 1984, I'm binging the DCEU from Man of Steel to Shazam. I've already seen Birds of Prey. My reviews of both Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman should be up by now, so let's carry on. When this was first announced, does anyone remember that this was actually supposed to be a grittier, darker movie? But then it went through those reshoots and then suddenly they wanted to throw in more comedy? A band of misfits out to save the day. Where have I heard that before? Oh, right. I mean, already, it was obvious that the DCEU just wanted to play catch-up and jump aboard the shared universe bandwagon that is the MCU. But this was so desperate. Still, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn? Yeah, alright. Jared Leto as the Joker? Meh, but maybe? Will Smith? I don't know, man. It didn't seem like it would be a bad time. First time I saw this, I thought, yeah, it was okay, leaning more toward the good end, but let's see if that still holds up. This is my honest opinion of Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller, played by the great Viola Davis, is putting together a response team of special individuals in case the world encountered another superpowered being like Superman, but was an enemy to the world. Turns out, that time comes when Enchantress, an ancient superpowered witch played by Cara Delevingne that was once under Waller's control, frees herself and begins constructing a magical machine that will destroy the world. Waller rounds up her Suicide Squad, headed by the loyal soldier Rick Flag, played by Joel Kinnaman, to stop the carnage. No, it's not a very good movie, but I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't having some fun with it. Yes, very clearly, this is a Guardians of the Galaxy try-hard knockoff. But in a sea of try-hard knockoffs that exist in Hollywood, I don't know, this one is probably one of the better ones that at least succeeds in its attempts. At times. Let's start with the negatives. The opening. It takes too damn long to get the movie started. You thought the beginning of MOS was bad? Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. MOS's opening was a prolonged setup to the plot of the movie, but this one doesn't take off until the half-hour mark. Most of this runtime is introducing characters with mostly generic motivations, not establishing them. Hell, if anything, it's doing a better job of showing how they're not qualified to handle this. I mean, seriously, Harley has a bat and a single pistol with who knows how many bullets for it. Diablo swore off violence, and Captain Boomerang is just boomerangs. Sure, I believe that Deadshot and Croc can handle themselves, but only against those grunt monsters, not against Enchantress or even her brother. And also, for all of Warner Brothers' money, they decided to make Croc, Killer Croc, a human-sized character. You wanted to be the one movie that had an all-practical cast of protagonists, but yet splurge all of that CG money on a pointless secondary villain and a portal in the sky? Call me lost, but I ain't following the logic. It bugs me. Croc is supposed to be colossal. Oh yeah, hold up that golden statue all day long for best makeup. It looks silly. But what I think really kills this movie for me is the undeserved payoffs for the relationships. By the end of the thing, Harley's screaming at Enchantress, "You messed with my friends!" And Diablo is screaming, "I lost one family, I ain't losing another!" What? Ain't a one of these lines were deserved, and these would be groaner lines from heroic characters. Harley has not treated a single person in this squad like a friend, or even in a way that could be a twisted form of friendship. Her sole motivation throughout this movie has been to reunite with Joker. For that matter, no one's truly tried to make friends with her. What, one drinking scene later and suddenly we're all buddies? I don't buy it. And swinging back to the time when I called these people villains, very few of them actually act like villains. Maybe Boomerang, maybe Croc. I say maybe because he's kind of proactive in helping the soldiers at some point toward the end. But for the most part, these characters are played off like anti-heroes, not villains. And where's the fun in that? Look, Deadshot as the anti-hero makes sense. He has a daughter that he loves and wants to be a part of her life. Diablo, sure, killed his family, wants to atone. But everyone else? Boomerang didn't need to be part of the climactic fight. He doesn't have a stake in any of this. Harley? Her bomb was deactivated. She didn't need to stick around for the climax either. Usually, I give praise to MCU competitors for doing something outside of the comfort zone of the obvious. Superhero fans love heroes as much as the next person, but if we're promised a movie about villains, make it about villains. Believe it or not, it is possible to show bad people do bad things, but still frame it as bad for the audience and still make it fun. Shoehorning a half-assed Fast and Furious, it's all about family. What kind of message is that in a movie like this? That is like the farthest thing from what a villain would say. To make matters worse, even some of the more heroic characters feel kind of pointless. Rick Flag? Well, this comes to mind.
Stale end piece of white bread!
Oh god, I missed that cartoon. Oh, and Katana? Seriously, write her out of the movie, you miss nothing. She has even less character than the squad does, and they're pretty generic in their portrayals as well. Well, it's time to piss off the masses and talk about the things that I really did kind of like. The performances, specifically from Will Smith and Margot Robbie, are actually pretty good. While it's been pretty universally accepted that Robbie is one of the highlights, I feel like opinions when it comes to Smith are a game of Pong. Either you love him or you hate him. Personally, I thought he was fun. He still has that signature Will Smith charm, whether he's cracking jokes or having more somber moments. Actually, I do really want to talk about Harley Quinn for a second. I do maintain that it's dumb that she has a last-minute friends mentality when it comes to the rest of the squad, really undeserved, and that really extremely contradictory sequence where Waller says that Harley Quinn is crazier than the Joker. Yeah, you remember that shit?
She's crazier than him and more fearless.
Crazier and more fearless, huh? You wanna try that again? And yeah, I do kind of think that Harley's insanity is cranked up to way over the top levels, especially compared to pretty much every other counterpart that she's ever had, from the cartoons, the comics, video games. The truth is, I do see a version of Harley that is acceptable, especially if you are going to go the villainous route with her. And to really piss off the hardcore Harley fans out there, I actually don't mind this take on Joker and Harley's relationship. Yes, in the comics, cartoons, and video games, their relationship was always about abuse. She fawned over Joker and was constantly desperate to win his approval that he was never going to give her. Even her early outfit was said to be restrictive for a reason, to symbolically show how wrapped up she was in Joker's world. But she was a tool to be used and discarded whenever. So when you see people showing memes or fan drawings of Joker legitimately being in love with Harley, depicting their relationship as relationship goals, then they've missed the point entirely. Their relationship is toxic and abusive.
And don't call me Puddin'.
However, this movie goes the opposite route on purpose. This is intended to be a story about twisted romance. We never see Joker hitting Harley. Sure, he leaves her to go get put in prison, but Joker's motivations throughout this flick are to get Harley back. He worships Harley. He kills for Harley. No Joker in any medium has ever done that. At least not to my knowledge. So while it's been a point of contentment for hardcore comic fans that this movie doesn't portray an accurate representation of the Harley and Joker relationship, it's still not poorly done for what they were trying to do. And despite how much I like Birds of Prey, and I do, the fact that this movie is about Harley breaking up with Joker and kind of recovering from that doesn't really make sense because that's not reflected in this movie. Truth be told, I kind of wish they rolled with this relationship a little bit longer. Jai Courtney as Boomerang was really hilarious. Croc had a couple of funny lines. Viola Davis as Waller was pitch perfect casting. And despite what people say about Cara Delevingne and her acting chops, I thought she was fine. Well, I do prefer her when she's like the Grudge looking monster rather than her more regal look. Yeah, that was pretty silly. Oh, and that transition. Oh, that was gorgeous. Some of the action works, not all of it, certainly not a majority of it, but there were a couple of golden moments here and there. Overall, I definitely don't love it like some people do, and I definitely don't hate it like most do. I'm somewhere in between. Objectively speaking, it's not a good movie, but subjectively, I still had kind of fun with it. It's misguided and doesn't commit to what this movie should have been, but whether or not that was a studio or filmmaker choice, I gotta say, some of it does kind of keep it afloat. It is kind of worth it for the performances, or at least, the main ones, Will Smith, Margot Robbie, and Jai Courtney. But other than that, you're not missing much. My honest rating for Suicide Squad, a 3 out of 5. And on my scale, we are going to place it right in between Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Stay safe and healthy out there. Please wear a mask if you go out. Hope to see you soon.